The Cocktails and Conversations. We have a show today which is pretty unusual. We talk a lot about authors, CEOs. We've had people, police officers and psychologists and a lot of different varieties. And the guest today has got some very interesting things to talk about in terms of the workforce, employers, employees, and how things go on behind the scenes in American manufacturing, or what's left of it. So without further ado, I'd like to introduce to you Sheppard November. Sheppard, how are you today?
Better than I deserve, sir.
What do you deserve? You deserve less? Come on, what does that mean?
Well, it's an old Dave Ramsey line, but I've taken it. Better than I deserve. I've done well in spite of myself.
Fair enough. All right. You've got a bunch of books out, and I want to focus on the one that's of most interesting to our readers or viewers today. So before we get to that, I want to hear a little about your story. Give me a background on who you are and how you came to write these books.
Well, I came up as a welfare kid in the Bronx, and from the age of 3, I could identify every car just by its body style before I could even read. And I grew up with a love of cars, a love of vehicles. I didn't care what they were. I built model cars as a kid, and that was my future vocation. I wanted to be an auto mechanic and or work in the vehicle industry, and that's what I always wanted to do. And just to jump ahead a little bit, little boys love fire trucks. I grew up and I got to play with them. I got to put them together. So that's basically where I am right now.
You still playing with fire trucks or what? What do you mean?
No, I'm retired now.
Okay.
Well, due to several injuries. Now I'm an airport transportation driver. But I still do my own work on automobiles just as a hobby.
Nice.
I just got putting a fuel pump in my 2000 Chevrolet S10.
There you go. People today don't know how to fix things. It shocks me what gets discarded and thrown away versus repaired. It's crazy.
You should see how it was on the assembly lines, and that's what I'm here to talk about today.
Let's hear about that. I want to hold up your book for a second. I want to see this book. It's called All in a Day's Work. Look at that. Okay.
All in a Day's Work.
I love
of the American work ethic.
I love double entendres. All days, D-A-Z-E. So are workers in a daze here or what? What's going on?
Yes. Well, let me give you the shortest story out of the book.
Sure, please do.
I was installing windshields in fire trucks. Now, you've seen how enormous those windshields are.
Oh, yeah.
Okay? Now, I was given the proper procedures to install them, and we had a lot of problems with these windshields failing, with the trucks failing the water test. They'd leak. Or worse yet, they'd leak when they got out into service. So I was watching a guy putting a windshield in while I was installing one, and I said, we've had a lot of problems with these things leaking. He says, yeah, so? I said, okay, what if it fails the water test? He says, well, someone will go fix it. I said, okay, what if that someone is me? What do you care? You get paid by the hour. I said, now wait a minute, what if it fails, what if it starts leaking after the truck's been put in service? And he says, well, someone from warranty will fix it. I said, for God's sakes, this truck may have to save your life one day. He leans over, looks at where the truck is going, and says, I ain't ever going to Cincinnati.
Nice.
Yeah. And that's what I've seen.
Wow.
When I worked as an auto mechanic at an import car dealership, one of my jobs was installing air conditioners. The other mechanics could do them in 2 hours. It took me 3. The job paid 5 hours. Okay? They were telling me, they were saying I was dragging down the shop time. Okay? Well, they told me to refine my technique. I should leave parts off, leave out bolts, shortcut. I am not making this up. Shortcut procedures. There's a part called a receiver dryer that bolts to the radiator support of the vehicle. You have to take the whole grill off to install this thing. Okay? There's a bracket that holds it in place. They just said leave it off. So I pointed to one. I said, you mean this one here? It said, is that where that goes? I ain't never put one in. I said, but guys, if you don't put that bracket in there, the aluminum tube will vibrate, and eventually it'll crack, and all the freon will escape.
Right.
They said, oh, don't worry about that. By the time that happens, it'll be out of warranty. We'll get paid to fix it.
Lovely.
I swear to you, this really happened, and I write about that's in book 1.
Okay.
That story.
And so there's a lot of big lack of accountability. Obviously, I can hear that coming down the road here. What can we do about it, man? That's I get right to solution mode if you don't mind.
First off, at the fire truck factory, whenever I would try to point out a problem, and I try to point out what was messed up without pointing out who messed up.
Yeah, that's fair.
Kind of the Japanese way of doing things. And they would tell me, the slogan at the factory was, be a problem solver, not a finger pointer.
Right.
Or, it's not a problem, it's an opportunity.
Yeah.
I said, fine, can we take this opportunity to solve this problem? And they ended up telling me, well, just fix it. I said, okay, I'll fix it, but how do we prevent this in the future?
Yeah.
Well, that's not your concern. Well, now, wait a minute. You've already paid him to do it once. Now you're paying me to do it again. I don't have a business degree, and even I know that's affecting profits.
Yep.
And management would say to me, what do you care? You get paid by the hour.
Management would say that.
I actually got angry with a coworker, and I was really lacing it into him, something fierce.
Yeah.
I was called into the office, and my plant manager said that very thing to me. What do you care? You get paid by the hour. And I said to my plant manager, look, I'm a stockholder in this company.
Mm-hmm.
I need this company to do well. My retirement is tied to how well this company does. I don't want to be one of those little old men who only has a can of tuna fish per day and prays my Social Security check isn't late.
Yeah.
He leaned forward, jabbed a finger in my direction and said, your little investment in this company doesn't amount to a hill of beans.
Wow. And you've worked in more than one place here, right, Sheppard?
Yes, I was a mechanic at several dealerships,
right.
Primarily import dealerships.
Okay.
I worked as a designer and builder of luxury conversion vans, and I also built fire trucks.
Okay. So is this problem, where does it come from, and how widespread is it?
I think a lot of people have this, a lot of American workers have this immature party attitude.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, what would you think was the moment you clock in? You're clocking in, and the moment one of your coworkers clocks in, he's saying, come on, quitting time.
Oh, boy.
And I'm like, dude, you just clocked in. And
Mm-hmm.
I can tell you that even on the assembly lines, when they should be focused on the job they're doing, for Monday and Tuesday, they talk about what they did last weekend. For Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, they're talking about what they're going to do this weekend.
Mm-hmm.
And cross-training, forget it. Okay,
Yeah.
I wanted to learn every job on that assembly line.
Mm-hmm.
With luxury conversion vans, I could build one basically by myself if I had to.
Nice.
Except for paint, which we sent it out. We sent them out for paint.
Yeah.
Okay. But whenever I would tell people, look, you need to cross-train, they'd say, no, I hired in to put in seats. I hired in to put on sirens.
Right.
I hired in to put in floors. I hired in to put in windshields.
Yeah.
Okay, but you still want your raises. Oh, yeah, I want my raises. Well, why don't you show them that you're worth more money and they'll give you raises? No, let them give me the raise first and then I'll do the job. No. Doesn't work that way.
There's no quality assurance incentives for any of these workers at all. I mean, I'm thinking about, what people, management may or may not be interested in this, but I mean, certainly you said the stockholders would be. I mean, is there no way to do that?
Well, let me put it this way. I asked one of my crew leaders, I said, look, why is it you will not address these quality issues?
Mm-hmm.
You come to me to fix this problem, or someone like me. There were plenty of good workers.
Right.
But you know what they say about a few bad apples.
Right.
They spoil the whole bunch. And I would say, why do you keep coming to me or somebody like me to fix this problem? Why can't you go and why don't you discipline the people that are doing this? Right. And his answer to me was, it's easier to have you fix it than to fight them in court. Because their lawyer, they can go to legal aid and get a lawyer for nothing. We have to pay for ours. So even if we win, we lose. Okay, the lawyer will portray them as the overworked, underpaid, exploited worker, and they will portray us as the big, evil, mean corporation.
Is that you said it comes from management. Is that a fear of union stuff, or what's the?
We had a union drive. We had 6 union drives at the factory, of which I survived all 6 of them.
What do you mean survive? What does that mean, survive?
It means that I never got cut. I mean, well, I meant to say layoffs. I'm sorry.
That's fine.
But in 5 out of 6 union drives, I opposed the union. Mm-hmm. Okay. In one union drive, because of that episode where I was told my investment in the company didn't amount to a hill of beans, I signed a union card. So people say, well, you're anti-union. No, I'm not. If I'm being treated well, I'm not going to join a union. But I remember for that incident when I got mad at an employee, got a coworker for not doing their job, my plant manager said to me, well, we're going to send you for anger management. And I said, no, that's not necessary. I managed to get angry just fine, thank you.
I'm really good at it.
Huh?
I'm really good at it. That's
really
funny.
good at it. And let me share something else with you. When they sent me to the counselor, I don't know where you are politically, but when they sent me to the counselor, the counselor said, this was in the 90s, mind you, but it applies today. He said, Shep, don't take it personally. With what's going on in the news nowadays, they just want to make sure you don't come back with an Uzi or an AK-47 and blow everyone away. I said, oh, please. There's no chance of that happening. All my weapons are American.
That's a good one. I like that one.
Yeah.
That's right. That's one meme. Gun control is having good aim, right? Control.
Yeah, exactly. Now, I didn't want to get political, but I had to put that in there.
We have no rules in the show. It's all good.
But I can honestly tell you that one of the companies I work for, I'm not going to say which one because I want people to read the book series. It's a 4-book series. All the books look the same except for the number in the upper corner where they're numbered, books 1 through 4. Okay?
All right.
But I come to find out that one of the companies I work for was actually meant to lose money.
Oh.
And I found this out totally by accident. And it was like, now I know why they've been making all these bonehead decisions.
Wow.
Okay, but we had this one guy who I worked a second job as a security guard, as an armed guard at a hotel. And one of my coworkers was arrested for drug dealing and drug use.
Lovely.
And I said, well, I guess we won't be seeing him again. So a few months later, he's back. I said, well, what's he doing back here? Well, he's back on a work release program.
Oh, good, yeah.
And I said, no, whoa, wait a minute. I thought we were rid of him, and now I have to put up with him. And they said, "Well, it looks good for us if we take him back." So let me get this straight. It looks good for us if we hire dopers, but it doesn't. But it looks bad for us if we don't, right? And I said, "Look, I got news for you. I know all about his arrest, trial, and conviction." Well, that wasn't exactly true, but I made it sound good. They said, "How do you know about that?" I said, "Well, I'm a security guard at the hotel." Okay, the local police officers here think of me as one of their own, which they did. So
crazy.
I used to, and they told me, they said, well, don't worry, he's drug tested once a month. I said, really? Is that why a cup of pee is going for $100 on the street? And they said, how do you know that? I said,
Google that. There's you got like fake prosthetics and tubes, the whole thing. I've seen those. They're crazy.
Yeah. Oh yeah, definitely. Yeah. I've known of people, never known people, known people who were offered money for a clean cup of urine.
Yeah.
So honestly speaking, the reason I wrote this book series is our president says he's going to bring jobs back to the United States. Okay, neat trick, Trumpdini. Let's see you do it. My thing is, who are we going to get to fill these jobs? I worked with people, I kid you not, who could not read on a high school level. I had to read the work orders to them. They did not know, they could not read a simple tape measure. They did not know the difference between 3/8 and 3/4.
And they're getting $35-$40 an hour too, or what? I mean, what's the?
We were at $15 an hour. This was Florida.
All right.
But you got to understand, here in North Central Florida, the cost of living was a lot lower.
Yeah, I was thinking UAW rates. I know we're a lot bigger. So
Right. Let me give you an example. When I bought my first house in 1987, 87. Yes, that house was $45,000. A comparable house at the time in New York or LA would have been like 180, 190.
Got it. Right.
Okay. And we have no state income tax in the state of Florida and like that. So even though, how do you get by on $15 an hour? Well, the cost of living is a lot lower here.
Got it. Okay.
So it all balances out.
All right.
But I would tell people, people would actually ask me, well, 3/8 is bigger than 3/4, right? Oh my God. How do you figure that? Well, 8's more than 4, right? No, I am not making this up.
I know. I mean, when I went to school, we had shop class and I had architecture class, all these things, how to basic skill stuff. Now they don't have any of that anymore.
No.
And I did a Habitat for Humanity thing. It was pretty funny. It was years ago. And I took about 40 junior high school kids to basically put a roof on this person's home. And 40 kids, right? And not a single one could swing a hammer. Right. They didn't know how. And they're going like this. I'm like, no, you go like this. I mean, basic stuff is just crazy how a simple thing was, so out of touch, It's weird.
On a little side note here, I'm an avid reader. I've read over 200 novels and fact-based books.
Yeah.
And I used to read on my lunch breaks.
Uh-huh.
I kid you not, I had coworkers, if I was reading a book like The Hunt for Red October, Jurassic Park, something that had been made into a motion picture, they would say, dude, why don't you just watch the movie? It'll only take 2 hours.
Because Hunt for Red October, I learned a lot about naval warfare and systems and pressures. I mean, so much detail he puts in the book, right? Yeah.
Yeah, don't get me wrong. The movie was great, but the book goes into so much detail.
Right.
And I would read history. You look at these. You remember Jay Leno's jaywalking program?
Yeah, sure. Yeah.
Yeah, and he would go on the street and ask people simple history, government,
so sad. Yeah.
And they had no freaking clue.
And I watched it with a mom, and she thought it was made up. I'm like, no, Mom, there are people who are really dumb. That's the way it is.
And when I would tell people, I'd say, look, I'm not at the factories. I would say, I'm not the smartest guy in the world. Come on. If I can figure this out, anyone can figure it out. Right. And they'd say to me, well, not everyone is as astute as you are, Shep. And I'd play stupid. I'd say, astute. What does that mean? Well, it means you're very smart. It means you're smarter than most people here.
Right.
Really.
Okay.
And like my work. Yes. Okay, so if you like my work, why are you not listening to me?
Let's get to how we can help people out here, because one of the things you mentioned to me before a call today was that there are certain days not to buy a car when it comes off the line on a certain day or something.
Yes.
Is there anything consumers can do to at least play the system a little bit to their advantage in terms of buying a vehicle?
It's often been said, never buy a car that was made on a Friday or a Monday.
Right, but how do you know that?
Friday,
How would you know that?
Well, you can check the production date of the vehicle. Most vehicles have a production date. If you look on the production placard that's in the inside door, they usually tell you when it was made. For example, my little 99 Hyundai Accent, February 9th, 1999.
Got it. Okay. But let me ask you a question, though. Okay, so February 9th. How long from start to finish is that car on the line?
Well, you generally want to get one built in the middle of the week.
No. How long does it take to build a car? Is it a day, a week? How long does it take to...
No, oh my goodness, those cars, I didn't work the automotive lines. I worked truck lines, but I can tell you that car is built in a matter of hours.
Oh, wow. I didn't know that.
Those cars
Okay.
are built in a matter of hours, start to finish, assuming they have all the parts on hand.
Okay. All right. So avoid Mondays and Fridays because people either like hungover or not paying attention.
You could get out on Friday to go party at the bars and pubs, and on Monday they're too hungover to do a good job.
Right. Have you when you're on your travels and research, did you have any any measurements on this, like percent of quality or anything on the Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday models?
Let me put it this way. I can tell you that when I was at the fire truck factory, we had 150, 200 item defect lists on the fire trucks that had to be cured. Yeah. And that was average. Okay? That was before they left the factory. Mm-hmm. Okay? Now, I can honestly tell you, let me give you a quick little story here. Back in 1982, we got a first, I don't want to name the manufacturer, but we got in the very first, actually it was 81. We got in the first cars that was supposed to meant to beat the Japanese at their own game.
Yep.
This was okay, and I'm not going to name the car.
That's all right.
So we got it in July of 1981. We weren't allowed to sell it. We could only demonstrate it.
Uh-huh.
Okay. So here comes the transport. We're all yeah. We couldn't get it started to get it off the transport.
That's hilarious.
They pushed it off, and we put our top mechanic to work on it. He'd never worked on a car like this before. No one had.
Yeah.
So after a few hours of tearing his hair out, he says, well, near as I can tell, we need a new computer. So the manufacturer air freighted us a new computer overnight. They plugged it in, still wouldn't start. And they're breathing down his neck. Get it working. We got to take it to an auto show. Come on, get it working. He's going through every connection with a magnifying glass. And I'm shadowing him. I want to learn.
Yeah.
And he looks, he goes, I'll be darned. I go, what? He says, look. And I'm going, what am I looking for? He says, look. And I'm looking close. There was a tiny metal tab that was bent, not making contact. that would not enable the computer to enable the ignition system of the car. Okay? Now that tells me it didn't even start at the factory. They just pushed it on the transport to get it out. Let the dealer worry about it.
Yeah, they didn't even test it. They didn't turn it on after the line.
They didn't even test it. If you've ever seen it, let me make a couple of recommendations here. The Ron Howard movie, Gung Ho.
Yeah, I remember that one, sure.
Okay, there was more true in that movie than not true. There's another one you might want to see. It was a book by Colonel James Burton, U.S. Air Force retired, called The Pentagon Wars. It was about the debacle of the Bradley fighting vehicle.
Oh, yes, I remember that one, yeah.
Okay, they made it into a movie.
Yeah, did they? Oh, God.
It shows you the decline and fall of the American work ethic is even in the U.S. military. My point is, if we are going to compete on a world stage, okay, we have to be better. We have to be what we used to be. During World War II, we didn't beat Japan and Germany. We outproduced them.
Correct, right.
And you see, because my father was a World War II veteran, he said German military equipment was far superior.
Oh, sure, certainly, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, very precise.
Our advantage was we had so much more of it.
Yeah, volume. Right.
And the point I'm making here is people need cars that accumulate more miles horizontally than vertically. Right. This is why we see all these Asian cars on the road. And I remember when I would get people would tell me, why do you, if you're so concerned about American workers, why do you buy all those foreign cars? I said, why don't you answer your own question? Okay? Why do you think I did that? I'm an airport driver. I need a car that will not lie down on me. Okay? Yep. I cannot afford to have my car at the dealership.
Right.
Well, they'll give you a loaner car. I don't have the time for that.
That's not the point. Yeah, do it right. Do it right the first time. Right. What's the biggest benefit or takeaway someone can get from reading your book?
Well, if you're a worker, what I'm saying is, first off, find what you love to do, get paid for it. You'll never have to work a day in your life. Yeah. Okay? If you are working a menial job, and I worked a bunch of them to put myself through trade school.
Right.
Okay? Just keep in mind, it's not forever. Now, if you keep of this attitude, that was what I saw in the Bronx. I'll never get out of here. Yeah. The man's trying to keep me down. My own father told me that I would never be anything more than what I am. The people in my neighborhood told me I'd never be anything more than what I am. Stop thinking that way. And I'm going to say right here, stop asking for $15 an hour to scrub toilets and flip hamburgers. Okay? Yeah. That job is not worth it. Let me give you an example. When I was working at the fire truck factory, and I was getting my good wages there, I was working a second job to put my son through college.
Yeah.
I worked for a car rental agency. I won't name them, but I worked for a car rental agency. I was washing and cleaning cars, getting barely over minimum wage. Okay? Now, it's not that okay, I'm worth a lot of money at the fire truck factory, but washing and cleaning cars and driving people around, that isn't worth much.
No.
But I did it because I was paying my son's rent at his dorm so he could concentrate on his studies.
Yeah, you make a sacrifice for your kids. So so if you're an American worker, take some responsibility for what you produce, right? That's the biggest lesson we can take. If you're an employer, especially these big ones, I guess, that's a different challenge because you really got to focus on quality and not just the hour, right? That's more QA stuff.
And the other thing is I'm asking government, knock it off with these ridiculous work rules. Knock it off with the political correctness.
Good luck.
Okay? Yeah. If somebody says something that offends you, get over it. Okay? Many times they didn't mean it. Okay? Yeah. Another thing is, simply put, I was told, well, we have to be diverse.
Yeah.
What do you mean by diverse? And you know what diversity is in the workplace. I said, no, that's not diversity. In a fire truck factory, we need engineers to design it. We need fabricators to fabricate the parts, welders to weld them together, sanders and shapers, painters. We need mechanics to install the drivetrain, electricians to snake the cable, plumbers to put the piping in, assemblers to do the general assembly work. Now, when I'm working with someone, I don't care what ethnicity they are. I don't care what religion they practice. I don't care who they sleep with. I don't care. We have a job to do. And when someone tells me they don't pay me enough to care, There's the door.
All right, Sheppard November for president, folks. Mark it down. There we go. Or at least governor or safe. Hold up your book again, Sheppard. Let's take a look at the book before we sign off here. All in a Day's Work by Sheppard November. There's a series of books there. If you're
1 through 4.
Yeah, that's right. If you're a worker, employer, or just want to find out how to get your kid through trade school and be proud of his work, this is the book series for you. Sheppard November, available on Amazon.com, I believe. So
yes,
go get your books there.
And one last thing, this
Yes.
is the first book series of its kind, written as seen through the eyes of a blue-collar worker.
Outstanding. Thank you so much for your time today, Sheppard. I appreciate you. This is
Thank you.
Doug
God
Crow
bless.
with Conversations and Cocktails. Enjoy. We'll see you next week.